All right. How's everybody doing on this Friday evening? If it's morning for you, good morning. If it's if it's good evening, good evening. I guess what else is there? Well, my name is 12 Gauge, and this is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time, I hope that you enjoy the show. Feel free to come on in to the chat and be with the other chatters because, they enjoy company. They enjoy being cordial and free and able to have an interesting conversation in the chat. Excuse my lagging and mindset here. I just woke up not long ago after taking a nap after getting off work early, so I'm kind of disorientated a little bit. 4 p.m. here, afternoon, evening, you pick. All right. I got my black lights in today. I don't know if y'all like the hue on me. I think it's pretty cool, but if you don't, that's up to you. Like I said, I'm still trying to wake up. Had some cookies earlier, and sometimes you can have like a sugar coma. I think that's what was going on. See, it amplifies the colors, so I think that's pretty awesome. So, anyways, not going to talk Idaho today. We're not going to really go into any of that. We're going to talk a case that I was telling you guys about last night if you were here in the live. This case is out of small town Arkansas. It's a small town in Arkansas. It's not far from the northern border of Arkansas. It's around the town of Jonesboro, Arkansas, if you've ever heard of Jonesboro. Then you know around what area it is. It's probably north of Little Rock, north of Hot Springs. It's in the pretty desolate area of Arkansas. So
Her name is Sydney Sutherland, and she was attacked and killed. So let's go ahead and watch her story because it's pretty sad, y'all. And like I was telling you guys last night, when it comes to true crime, it's not always, easy to describe some of these cases because of the severity of the crime. This one's not going to be as severe as the ones we usually talk about, but it is true crime nonetheless. It is the death of somebody. So um, I hope that you guys do understand that whenever we do talk about true crime on this channel, I try to give the victim a voice that they no longer have. I try not to focus so much on the individual that killed them, even though we must talk about them, but I try to get the victim the voice that they no longer have. And I think a lot of times people forget that the voice is needed for these individuals. Glitter, glitter, glitter. How are you doing? Long time no see. Hey, Fark you? Aquarius, Rondi, PKC, you're in here. You made it. Good job. So let's go ahead and watch this story. And then we'll go from there. Here we go. And this is going to be narrated by Mr. Black. I don't know if you know who he is, but he has his own channel, but this was on Long Crime Network.
Wrong reasons.
She said, then I'm going to go run it. And I was like, son, you don't run today. It just releases me.
The 25-year-old went for a run on Jackson County Road 41.
He called me right after 5 and he says, have you seen Sydney? Something just was not right. My heart just dropped.
I watched this story, and I guess since it's so well done, it brought out a lot of emotion in me. I mean, most of these are, they're pretty dry, but this one was so well done. I mean, this individual just narrating it knows part of the people involved.
The Sutherlands are a close family in the small agri town of Grubbs, Arkansas. Maggie and Dion Sutherland had 3 children. Their 2 sons came first, Tyler and Sam, but later Maggie would give birth to a daughter named Sydney. Sydney Sutherland endeared everyone close to her with her energetic and charismatic personality, and she was as beautiful as she was bright, graduating from high school in 2014 as an outstanding senior. She loved the color pink, sports, exercise, family, and most of all, her nieces, who called her Aunt Sassy. 25-year-old Sydney's best friend was her mother, Maggie Sutherland. They rarely left each other's side. According to Maggie, even when the pair attended sporting events, Sydney often elected to sit with her mother instead of her own friends.
Didn't they kind of look like sisters a little bit? I think it's always interesting to see the love between a mother and a daughter that is that close. I think it is so awesome. I know my niece and her mom, my sister-in-law, they kind of resemble each other, and they're close like this. And it's always interesting to see this dynamic of the daughter and the mom be so damn close. It's so special,
She went on to study nursing right out of high school. She earned her LPN license and then began her career at a local medical center. While there, she continued to study and ultimately received her RN license at ASU Newport, a town not far from her hometown. Sydney once said, "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." And that's what she did. Her gift was nursing and nurturing everyone and anyone. She loved life and was known to brighten a dimly lit day with her unfading smile. It was constantly shining, never trimming down and never flickering. And like her nickname, she was sassy. Her Facebook post on July 24th of 2020 proves just that. She jokingly posted a meme that read, "If I'm ever murdered, just know that I ran my mouth to the bitter end."
That is just something that it just, I don't know, if that don't move you when you find out what happens to her, I don't know what will. I don't know if you have any kind of emotional bone in your body, because can you imagine somebody saying, if I'm ever murdered, just know I ran my mouth to the end. Let's see what you say, Jim. I have 3 sisters, and one closest to my mother was almost identical to my mom. Yeah, that's usually how it is. It's an interesting dynamic.
But less than a month later, this post would reveal itself to be a truly haunting entity in Sydney's story, one that her loved ones would never forget. Late Tuesday night, August 18th of 2020, the Suterlands returned home to their separate farms after a family vacation in Florida. It was a place the family was known to frequent in order to spend some much-needed time off. On Wednesday, August 19th, at 2 p.m., a day after they returned from their trip, Sydney told her boyfriend, Alex Nicholson, who lived with her, that she was going out for a run.
She said, then I'm going to go run it. And I was like, Sydney, don't run today. You know, we've been gone, rest. You left the trainer. You did an hour hard workout. Why would? She goes, it just releases me.
And it was true. Sydney firmly enjoyed exercising, and the way she took care of her body was proof of that. So without heeding her mother's warning, she headed out alone down County Road 41 South near Highway 18 in Grubbs, Arkansas. Population 301. Sydney knew everyone in the small farming town. She'd grown up around many of them and gone to school with most of the local people her age. And almost everyone in Grubbs was a farmer. They all attended the same community events together, so no one was really a stranger. The area is small and rural with very little crime. The most unlawful activity you're likely to find in Grubbs is a little missing gasoline siphoned from a tractor in the middle of the night by some teenagers. A town like this was safe for everyone. A quick run, and Sydney's smile would be back before dinner, or so she assured her boyfriend Alex. An hour passed by. No sign of Sydney. 2 hours passed.
Remind me toward the end of the show, Jim, and I'll send you my email again, okay? So she went out for a run. Her mom asked her not to go running, because they just gotten back off a trip. And, once you want the person to relax a little bit and, unwind. But Sydney was that disciplined when it came to running. And it's interesting how individuals are really that disciplined. Once you start working out or doing any of that stuff, it's almost like you're cheating on yourself if you don't go out and do this exercise. Like her mom said, it helped her unwind. So this would just, like I always say, a person doing their daily living as if they lived it every day. So it's just tragic.
Still nothing. When 5 p.m. rolled around and Sydney still hadn't returned, Alex began to worry. He called Maggie to see if she'd heard from Sydney, but she hadn't. And every time they called the 25-year-old's cell phone, it went straight to her voicemail. Something wasn't right. It was totally unlike Sydney Suterland. The concerned loved ones gathered together with their local family and scoured the area for any sign of Sydney, but ultimately came up empty-handed. she just disappeared without a trace. Worry began to stretch into deep concern as the Sutherlands called the Jackson County Sheriff's Office to officially report Sydney Sutherland missing. The sheriff, David Lucas, had known the family most of his life. He watched Sydney grow up, and even he knew it was totally out of her character to be gone that long without letting her loved ones know. If the family were concerned about Sydney being missing and they believed she was potentially in danger, then he did too. Sheriff Lucas called in reinforcements from the neighboring cities of Tuckerman, Newport, and my hometown, Jonesboro. He also called upon the Newport Department of Corrections, Arkansas State Police, the FBI, and the people of the community to help find the missing woman. The search began immediately.
You know what's awesome is that they had 150 people out searching within that quick. It's like that community was so tight, you know, it was that quick. If you want to share it in the chat, Jim, that's fine. That's fine.
Soon after, a UPS driver came forward. He stated that he'd seen Sydney running down the road that day. Then Sam, Sydney's older brother, received a phone call in which he was told that a local farmer, Quake Llewellyn, had seen Sydney on the overpass near County Road 41, heading south toward home. With the update, they now had a point of reference for the search. They continued the search until about 2 a.m. Thursday morning, before the group finally took a break to rest and recover. They'd been trying to track Sydney down for quite a while without a shred of luck. They were tired, and the darkness made the search difficult. But with Sydney still out there somewhere, I doubt anyone close to the Sutherlands could sleep. A few hours later, at 7:30 a.m. on Thursday the 20th of August, the party, consisting of hundreds of searchers, began to scour the area again, hoping to find something that would lead them to Sydney.
Hello, good afternoon to you. I'm Mitch McCoy, 342 now at KRK4 and Fox 16 in Little Rock. We have been following breaking news throughout Jackson County most of the day. Claire Kreitz has been on the ground up there. Claire, this is something that you are monitoring very closely, as we know that the search for this 25-year-old woman, Sydney Sutherland, gets underway. Tell us and bring us up to speed on what's happening up there.
Yeah, Mitch, I'm going to flip the camera for you guys to give you a better look at what's going on. You can see there are horses out here. There are ATVs. This road has been extremely busy, which, you know.
So that was the last known location of where Sydney was. And look at how isolated that road was. I mean, some people enjoy running in an isolated area. You know, she wasn't far from home, so I could understand that she probably walked or jogged this area many, many times. And, you know, to say that the victim was at fault, that's kind of crazy, because we shouldn't be scared to live our lives for any reason. We should be able to live our lives without fearing that something bad or evil is going to happen to us. So that's why I always push on this channel. You should never live in fear, and we should never victimize ourselves, because if you're doing that, then you're not living your life.
This is a rural area, so normally this is, you know, pretty quiet over here. You can see where all those cars are. That's kind of the staging area for the search. There's a better look at those horses. I know it's a little blurry, so bear with me. But yeah, searches have been happening all day. People are coming from across the community trying to help out. Law enforcement agencies from across the community. I'm going to show you, once this car passes, I'm going to show you where Sydney Sutherland was last seen. So this is Highway 18 that we're on right now, and I'm going to walk across the street. Jackson County Road 41. This is where Sydney Sutherland was last seen, this county road. This was a typical jogging route for her, walking route, and she was last seen jogging on this county road near Highway 18.
Is there anybody in the chat other than Rondi that is a runner that jogs or walks in a particular area where you feel, well, this is my spot. I feel safe here. I feel safe doing this. Or maybe you walk your land if you have land. You know, you never think that something is going to happen to you because that's your safety zone. And sometimes we get a little complacent. So the reason that I show some of this stuff, especially for you women, is to show you that, at all times you must be vigilant on your surroundings. Because this was her spot. This was her running lane. This was her road. Just sad.
Again, by a UPS driver, that is who saw her jogging. She was in black shorts and a white tank top. But people have been out here all day just searching fields. Again, a very rural community, just trying to find anything that they can. Just trying to find any sort of evidence, anything out of the ordinary. It's been an all-day effort.
Multiple law enforcement agencies now involved in this search effort. Walk us through the mind of some of these searchers. We know that they were searching all night. We know that they stopped briefly in the overnight hours just because it got too dangerous, but they started as soon as that sun was coming up. Mm-hmm. What's going through the mind of investigators, searchers? I know that they're probably tired, but they're not giving up.
No, nobody is giving up here. I've talked to a lot of people out here, from people that knew her or know her and say that she is just the kindest person ever and they want to find her. From people who are just complete strangers are out here and they're just so heartbroken by this story and they want to do anything that they can to help out today. Like you said, they went into the early morning hours, about 2 a.m. and then they started back up about 7 this morning. I talked to a guy, sorry, it's loud on the street, but he's, helping on his day off. And he heard the story on the news and he just wanted to be out here. He was on a 4-wheeler going up and down the fields, just trying to find anything that he could.
They organized a grid to search every farm and homestead in the community. They methodically investigated every crack, crevice, hole, and structure, doing everything they could to find the beloved missing glow of their small-knit community. Tirelessly, the Suterlands asked the same questions over and over. Where could she be? Why haven't we found her? Unresolved questions. Questions asked with no sign of answers. But unbeknownst to the family, there was a wolf in their midst. Someone in the search party knew exactly where Sydney was, but the cowardly mutt stood silent and said nothing, all the while wearing the skin of a concerned citizen. During a break from searching, the group replenished themselves with food and drinks. Members of the party offered the family support in the form of refreshing hope and encouraging words. One tall, burly farmer stood near a tree, listening intently to the rest of the group's chatter near the command center. Maggie Suterland knew who he was. His name was Quake Llewellyn. He was the farmer who claimed he saw Sydney running the day she went missing. She walked over to him and asked if he'd seen anything or anyone out of the ordinary. And when she questioned the young farmer about what Sydney was doing when he saw her, Quake answered, she was just running. Then oddly, the lurking 300-pound man hugged Maggie Suterland, and the conversation was over. But a good mother's intuition is one of the only true forms of magic I've ever witnessed on this planet. When a mother insists she knows something or has a gut feeling about one of her loved ones, especially her children, you'd have to be a complete and utter fool to ignore her. Maggie knew. I don't know if she knew what she knew exactly, but her instincts told her something was off. She went back to the group and told them about her conversation with Quake Llewellyn. She reported, something felt odd. She was sadly about to learn just how in tune her intuition truly was.
Yeah, a mother's intuition is never far off. That's one thing that I've always heard is a mother knows. They know when you're lying. They know when you're, hurt. They can almost feel the connection, especially if they're close to their children. They can feel that connection, and it's so disturbing. Can you imagine being out there looking for your daughter and this kind of occurrence happens? Would y'all be able to continue searching if you felt that this person may know more than they were letting on, or would you have done just as this mother did? Let me see what you are saying in the chat. I know in Texas people like to draw bodies out where the oil fields are, where I've heard several stories. Yeah, that's true. Talking at the same time. This is Arkansas. It's called Grubbs, Arkansas. Yeah, I mean, it's a mother's intuition is very seldomly wrong.
So we knew the last sighting of her was at the interstate headed home.
By Quake.
He just walked up and just stood by a tree. And I said, Quake, can you tell me anything? What's Sydney doing? You know, did you see anything unusual? Did you meet anybody unusual? He goes, no, she was just running. I said, you don't have anything you can tell me? No, she's just running. He just kind of gave me a little hug.
He gave you a hug.
Gave me a hug.
What did that feel like in that moment?
It was something felt odd. I walked back over to the group and I was like, something's wrong.
Later that night at around 8:20 p.m., Sydney's cell phone was found about a quarter mile from her home. She was so close to safety that it hurts to even think about. The phone was intact, but there was still no sign from the missing 25-year-old.
And good afternoon to you. I'm Mitch McCoy, almost 1 o'clock here at KRK4 and Fox 16. We are standing by for a live picture. A news conference is scheduled to begin any moment here.
When this case first originated, the community really stepped up. Once word got out that Sydney was missing, we had people from all over the county, also adjoining counties, that were calling and coming over saying, hey, whatever you need, let us know, we'll do it. And like yesterday, we had about 150 volunteers on the ground yesterday, and that's normal what you'll see in these smaller communities. These folks really step up. You know, small community, there's a lot of love going on. I've been in law enforcement 30 years here, and of course we take every case serious. We work every case as hard. I mean, from one case to the next, we work them all at the same.
You know, it must be difficult to be in a small community and know the individual that's gone missing, especially if, you know, you watch them grow up. Like he said, he watched her grow up. And it would be difficult, you know, it would be difficult to be searching, but you also want to do something, you know, you want to do something to help. And that is just human nature. I mean, most people want to do something. They want to make the situation better.
Same level. This case is more for me because it's kind of personal. I do know the family, know them well. I know Sydney, watched her grow up. She went to school with my girls, and that's what normally in a small community like Jackson County, that's what you wind up with, is every once in a while you'll get a case, and it's kind of personal for you. And that's where it's at with me on this. Really, the only updates that I can give is to confirm that her phone was found yesterday. We're still following up on that as far as trying to develop any potential leads. And we're working on some current potential leads right now that we're checking into. I can't elaborate on what those are, but we are working on those. As you know, this is a collaborative investigation with the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, Arkansas State Police, along with the U.S. Marshal Service and the FBI. She has not been located, and our efforts to find her are still ongoing at this time. The phone was located in an area just north of her residence, probably a quarter mile, and that's the area that we've been concentrating on. I can't really elaborate on the leads that we do have, but we are working on some stuff, yes.
It got dark quickly, causing the search to be called off for the evening. The next day, Michael Llewellyn, Quake's dad, escorted Quake to the Arkansas State Police to inform them of his sighting of Sydney the day before. Michael had been the one who called Sam earlier with the information Quake said he had. The Llewellyns gave the cops permission for Quake's truck to be searched, and they made a haunting discovery. There was blood in the cracks on the tailgate. The following day, on Friday, August 21st of 2020, the search group resumed at 8:30 a.m. The grid search continued from farm to farm and home to home. On County Road 41, Maggie discovered a bead from Sydney's bracelet.
We were down on our hands and knees, crawling on the ground, and I was like, I found a bead. Sydney's been here.
Mrs. Sutherland felt hopeful. They were close to finding her daughter. Then at about 2 p.m., the sheriff informed Sam that he needed to gather the family together. A body had been found. With a sinking feeling, Sam knew it was his sister Sydney, and now he'd have to break the news to his mother. He drove from the overpass to Maggie's house with a heavy heart. Mortified, Maggie Sutherland was devastated by the loss of her baby, her only daughter, and her best friend. Sydney Sutherland was found only 1.5 miles from her home, a mere 2 days after she'd gone missing. The crime scene was a neighbor's farmland. Due to the state of her body, scientific testing was needed to confirm what everyone already knew was the truth. They all knew that Sydney Sutherland, the beautiful, intelligent, carefree angel in pink, was gone. And not just gone, but taken, stolen, ripped away from those who loved her by someone they all knew. DNA test results later confirmed the family's worst nightmares were true. Sydney Sutherland's cause of death was listed as multiple blunt force injuries. No further explanation was ever given. But one has to.
Does anybody know why they would just say that about an individual's cause of death, blunt force injuries? No further explanation given? I mean, do you know why that's ever something that is that vague? I mean, I know what blunt force injuries are, but I wonder why it would just be that vague. Anybody in the chat have any idea about that?
To wonder, after only 2 days, why did authorities need DNA to confirm her identity? What exactly did Sydney's killer do to her that made her so unrecognizable? The same day, just after 6:40 p.m., Sheriff Lucas confirmed that a suspect had been arrested and taken to Jackson County Jail. He was charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, rape, and abuse of a corpse. Why would anyone want to do this to Sydney? She made life so much more beautiful for anyone she encountered. She didn't have enemies, so why the brutality? Was this just done in the name of destruction in order to dismantle something valuable and precious? No one knew. The suspect, 28-year-old Quake Llewellyn, the farmer who had wrapped his arms around Maggie Sutherland the day before, was the one arrested for the brutal murder of her daughter. A daughter that he helped search for, knowing damn well where she was the entire time because he had put her there. Quake Llewellyn.
And you know, in these cases, we often talk about the killer showing back up to assist or to be trying to be around the law enforcement in order to give help or anything like that, just to interject themselves in the case, and also to find out exactly what the police know or don't know. So this guy was helping search for Sydney, and he knew exactly where the hell she was. How sick is that? How sick is that, guys? It's pretty intense, right? Pretty intense.
Was a third-generation farmer from the area. Michael Llewellyn had adopted him when he married Quake's mom. Like Sydney, Quake had also graduated from Tuckerman High a few years before her, and he knew the Sutherland family very well. The Llewellyn family were well known themselves and had even been awarded Jackson County Farm Family in 2016. There was a magazine article written about them, so Quake and his family were no strangers to the community. And although he lived a few miles away in Jonesboro, he and his family owned farms in several counties, and he tended to them. Oddly enough, at the time of the murder, Quake had been married to a single mother by the name of Gracie for about 2 years. She had 3 children already, making Quake a stepfather. Luckily for her, they had no kids between them. On Facebook, Gracie and Quake Llewellyn seemed like happily married soulmates, but I guess, like the rest of Grubbs, she learned that the devil may walk among you unwelcomed and unnoticed. and he may appear so warm that you invite him in. Now, I've seen people online say, how could Gracie not have known something was off about her husband? Well, I'll tell you how. People like Quake Llewellyn are sneaky little creeps with evil intentions that only surface when they want to fulfill a deadly urge. That urge, that violent compulsion, is their life's purpose. It consumes them until it's all they live for. It's all they think about. And everything they do is for the sake of achieving that sadistic objective.
You know, if you've hung around this channel at any particular point in time, you understand that many of these situations, many of these crimes, they happen so quickly. It's almost like an ambush. It's not something that is carried out slowly. It's methodical, and it's very quick, striking. It catches you off guard. Like, let's say, she was out for a run, and bam, next thing you know, the predator is upon her. He had to know that she ran down that road. It was by his farm. Possibly he had been thinking about this many times. And for whatever reason, that day was the day that he decided to take it into his own hands and do what he did to her. He had to know who she was. It said their families knew each other. How could this individual be such in plain sight, but nobody be the wiser of the evil intent of his heart? Okay, PKC, thank you.
Keeping their sick fantasies a secret. Look at that loser Dennis Rader, aka the BTK killer. His wife had no idea what kind of monster she was sleeping with. He would send letters to the police and media taunting them after his crimes. Rader's wife noticed one of his taunts in the paper one day and remarked that the killer misspelled a certain word the same way he does. Luckily for her, she never mentioned that again, but in Rader's testimony at trial, he said if she had, he would have got rid of her no problem. And they were together for 34 years. He was the president at Christ Lutheran Church, heavily involved in his local community, and the father of 2 kids. He also installed security systems, and no one had a clue. But you may say, but Mr. Black, BTK was smart. He killed 10 people. Quake is just a big dumb redneck with a stupid name. He killed 1 person. He's no serial killer. Well, I'd have to agree with you about the name. Apparently Quake's parents let him pick that himself when his stepdad adopted him. But as far as BTK being smart, if you've ever heard testimony about what happened during his crimes, you'd see that he was ridiculously careless and downright stupid at times. It blows my mind that that guy wasn't caught sooner. And I believe Quake Llewellyn would have had other victims too. I believe at 28 years old, this creepy mutt was just getting started. Quake was 28. Dennis Rader killed his first victim when he was 30. If you ask me, Quake picked the wrong family to mess with, and the Suterlands made him pay. It's very possible that Sydney and her family stopped a would-be serial killer. Unfortunately, the cost they incurred is a debt no loving family could ever willingly afford. Rest in peace, Sydney Suterland, the angel in pink. With the help of Sydney's phone and Quake's phone, authorities were able to put Llewellyn at the scene of the abduction and track him back to his farm, 1.5 miles from Sydney's home, which is where they found her body. They also used video from his own home in Jonesboro showing Quake leaving in his truck. When he returned later, there was a dent in the hood, and he can be seen in the video inspecting the damage. At first, Llewellyn admitted that he hit Sydney with his truck. According to an affidavit on October 16th of 2020, Quake Llewellyn, a 28-year-old 300-pound man, drove past Sydney Suterland, who was out running on Highway 18 between Grubbs and Newport, Arkansas. He quickly made a U-turn, went back to her location, and ran her down in his truck. It was his only chance of catching her. Quake probably knew she'd outrun him on foot. And to be fair, most people could. I doubt.
So there you have what happened. He ran her down. He ran her down because he knew that if he got out to abduct her, that she'd be able to outrun him. I mean, we can do 1,000, 100, million of these crimes. I don't know if you ever leave here asking, how did it get this bad? How did people get to the point where they don't value human life? How did they get to that point where, you know what, that girl in those black shorts and white pink looked good today. I think I'm going to go run her over and then do what I'm going to do with her. And you get fixated on that thought. And for whatever reason, you're unable to break it. Then you end up murdering someone. But to run somebody down, that's like predatory as hell.
Quake could have run the length of himself. So, by his own admission, Llewellyn rammed Sydney with the front of his vehicle and threw her in the back of his truck. He later recanted his confession, claiming it was all just an accident. Then at a plea hearing, he pled not guilty. As the details came to light, Gracie Dawn Llewellyn wasted no time in distancing herself from that mangy mutt. She filed for divorce on August 26th, claiming general indignities, including abuse, contempt, and neglect. But on September 4th, she filed an amended complaint changing the statement to just general indignities. After that, I'm guessing she just tried to forget about him. To my knowledge, she has never spoken publicly about her life with Quake Llewellyn, and I don't blame her. I'm sure she wondered how she could have ever unknowingly let a psychopath into her home and around her children. She probably thinks she's lucky to have escaped herself, and I bet she wonders how she didn't see the devil inside. These are all questions any of us would ask ourselves. But personally, I hope Gracie knows that none of this was her fault. In a strange twist, I discovered that Gracie is now engaged to my childhood best friend. His mom was once married to my uncle. His older brother is my half-cousin. I reached out to see if she had anything to say, but I was never met with an answer, nor am I owed one that she isn't willing to give. She's not a suspect. She's not responsible. She might be another victim in some way. So leave her be. Don't go looking for her. Let her move on with a man I know personally and believe would never cause her any harm. Gracie, I wish you all the best. Before the trial, Llewellyn was ordered to undergo a psych evaluation to see if he was competent to stand trial. According to him, he accidentally hit Sydney with his truck, and she was unresponsive. He claimed he thought he killed her on impact and would get into trouble, so instead of calling 911, he placed her in the bed of his truck and took her to his farm to conceal the body. According to Dr. Lacey Willett, the psychologist appointed to review him, Quake drove to a nearby rice field where he began to undress Sydney. Whether she was alive or dead at this time, we simply don't know. But his intentions for stripping her down and taking her to that location were for, as he stated, messing with her a bit. When Quake was asked to elaborate,
So think about that a little bit. He hits her with the truck, puts her in the bed of the truck, takes her to a rice field, undresses her, and then attempts to rape her. So at any point during that was a conscious effort. There was no kind of, let me call 911, let me get her to a hospital. It was an accident. I didn't mean to hit her. No. He used that, I didn't know what to do. I was scared. Well, let me go take her and hide her body. And before I do that, let me try to rape her. This is almost like a child spilling milk. And I'm not minimizing this crime at all, okay? But the thinking is, I spilled some milk on the floor. I don't want my mom to see it, so I'm just going to throw a towel over it. And before I do that, I'm just going to act like nothing happened. It's almost like that was his mentality, and then he turned on himself and said, well, I already killed her. I might as well rape her. It's like, bro.
His attorneys butted in and wouldn't let him explain, but it's believed that he raped her on the back of his truck where the blood was found. Quake said he dug a hole in the rice field to bury her because, in his words, that was just where I was and where I was going to begin with. As if Sydney didn't deserve any more thought than that. As if she weren't somebody's beloved daughter, sister, friend, and highly valued community member. Then afterwards, Quake just went about his business of checking on the wells in the rice field, then drove home, ate dinner, acted normal, and just tried to forget about it. Dr. Willett said Llewellyn told her that he went to the police, letting them know he was the last person to see Sydney alive in hopes it would mask him from being considered as a suspect. She also reported that he had joined the search party via a Facebook group devoted to finding Sydney. It's believed that Quake moved Sydney's body a couple times as the search parties got close. What a heartless piece of shit. Dr. Willett's report concluded, "It is my opinion that at the time of the alleged conduct, Mr. Llewellyn did not manifest symptoms of mental disease or mental defect." Her report also said that Llewellyn didn't have a history of mental illness treatment. He was found competent to stand trial for kidnapping, rape, capital murder, and abuse of a corpse. On August 30th of 2020, an anonymous acquaintance from Jackson County told Today in Fort Smith that Quake Llewellyn had always been trouble. According to this source, Llewellyn had been caught when he was younger peeking into women's bedrooms and bathroom windows trying to catch them undressing or showering. They also claimed he was obsessed with young girls, even going as far as to stalk them. The anonymous complaint said Quake had to be warned away from the person's own niece. The source went on to say that rumors Llewellyn put cats and small animals in the microwave to watch them die aren't just rumors. They're true. They claimed someone should have done something about Llewellyn, but stated that his parents were good people and not the ones to blame for Quake's actions. The source finished with, "Quake is the monster." This reminds me of Beth Thomas in a way. Could Quake have had some kind of attachment order that led to adult psychopathy? Who knows? And with the mess of information surrounding attachment disorders, I'm not even sure that's how it works anymore. Either way, it doesn't change his monster status. Even if Quake Llewellyn ever was a victim, he's still an adult that is very much evil. We have a code of conduct on this channel. Once you're of a certain age, if you create a victim, you become a monster and you lose your victimhood. We have no sympathy for evil. Prosecutor Ryan Cooper sought the death penalty. I tip my hat to you, Ryan. And Maggie Suterland agreed, saying,
So he had a history of this. And if you ever notice any of these behaviors, please try to protect those in the general vicinity of these individuals. It seems like he had a history of stalking younger girls. I mean, his own niece had to be removed from around his own niece. I mean, there's a reason why he killed Sydney before he tried to sexually assault her. If you remember, individuals that have any kind of issues with inability to relate to women or the fear of the rejection, or it's like she was gonna reject him regardless. But what I'm saying is they have to kill before they rape them because of the knowing that what they're doing is not going to turn out in their favor. So they want to get what they're doing done, and they know that if the person is alive, that there's no way that that's going to happen. You know what I mean? I will check that out, Truth. See if I can get that link. Thank you for being here. It just infuriates me. It's kind of like the Lake and Riley case, That individual just killed her for no apparent reason. He didn't rape her, but he killed her and left her in the middle of a field. Just like this individual just left this individual in a rice field. It just tragic. It's tragic. And oftentimes we don't take these crimes for being as heinous as they are. Because, I mean, honestly, who wants to think about heinousness all the time? We'd lose our faith in humanity. But at the same time, we still must understand that there are monsters among us. There are people that, look, this guy was seemingly normal. He had a wife, he had 3 stepkids, he had multiple farms, so chances are he had money. But that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough for him. So whatever it was that he was looking for, he acted out on it that day.
Deserves the death penalty. He is a monster, an evil monster. She did not deserve any of that.
When asked if they could ever forgive Quake, both Sam and Maggie said, absolutely not. And who can blame them? They will forever miss that special light in their lives because of his selfishness and sick self-gratification. Sydney's murder was pointless. She touched so many people every day with her light, her kindness, her compassion. And he, who contributed nothing positive to this world, attempted to turn out her light. And in some ways he did. But when a star dies, the light lives on for years, and so will Sydney's, in the hearts of those who knew her, as well as those who didn't, for generations to come. Hatred grew for that thick mutt that killed Sydney Suterland. When he was transported to the courthouse for hearings, he wore a bulletproof vest and was surrounded by several officers for his own protection. I'm sure many of these officers detested putting their lives on the line for this mangy hellhound. On October 1st, 2021, Quake Muttface Llewellyn pleaded guilty to all charges, effectively worming his way out of the death penalty, a mercy not afforded to innocent Sydney Suterland. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Quake Llewellyn, 2020 suspect in the 2020 rape and murder of Sydney Suterland, has accepted a plea deal. Prosecution defense came to an agreement that he will plead guilty to rape and murder. He will serve life without parole on the murder charge, life on the rape charge. He will spend the rest of his life in jail with no chance of getting out. The family of Sydney Suterland says this is about best outcome in this case. However, real justice for Sydney would be her being here.
For Quake Llewellyn to be held accountable for my daughter's senseless murder. Today, we have pleaded guilty to murder and raping her and will spend the rest of his life in prison. But true justice for Sydney, my daughter, will be here for her to be here. Would be for her to be here. Just thank you all, and just justice for Sydney. Thank you.
They all had impactful speeches that they wanted to say to Quake Llewellyn. Now, Maggie, Sydney's mother, she, at the very beginning of her speech, she told Quake to look at her. She said, "Can you look at me while I give my speech?" And she talked directly to him. And Quake did look over at Maggie while she gave her speech about losing her daughter. Like I said, it was so much sadness, there was so much crying, but there was also a sea of pink. All of the family and the friends of Sydney Suterland were all wearing pink in support of her, in honor of her and her family.
Today, Llewellyn, now known as number 178660, is housed at Varner Supermax Prison in Grady, Arkansas, Lincoln County, near Pine Bluff. His prison record doesn't show any disciplinary violations, but that's not surprising, as I doubt he stalks anyone in there. He's lost about 60 pounds or so since being incarcerated, but hopefully that's just because he's getting his meals jacked by the big boys. Maggie Suterland told The Sun,
I don't know what he got out of that because he took a beautiful life, a young woman who had a bright future. He was very cruel to do what he did and the way that he did it. She was not yours to take. Satan is real.
She told Quake during the victim impact statement in court.
The hands you hugged me with are the same hands you killed her with.
Sydney's father, Dion, told him,
You're a 300-pound coward that hit my 100-pound daughter with a 3,000-pound truck.
Sydney Claire Suterland was laid to rest on August 28th of 2020, just weeks before her birthday. Because she was so loved by many, her funeral was live-streamed for all to see. The angel in pink will not be forgotten. A bright pink cross now designates her final resting place. On August 27th of 2020, The overpass in Jackson County that goes above County Road 41 was renamed in her honor. Immediately following her demise, her community started the very first Finish Sydney's Run 5K, a fundraiser to remember an intelligent young woman who was brutally taken from a community way too soon. The event occurs annually in her memory. Proceeds from the run go to the Sydney Sutherland Memorial Scholarship Fund for future students pursuing an education in the medical field at ASU Newport. In August of 2022, the Sydney Claire Sutherland Foundation surprised Jackson County School District teachers with $50 gift cards. Sydney had attended and graduated from Jackson County School District in 2014. Teachers often pay out of pocket for their school supplies, but this year, thanks to a guardian angel in pink, they were honored with gift cards to help with some of their expenses. And
isn't that something, like, even from beyond, this person is still touching lives? She seems like she would have been, or was, a very giving individual based on the field she chose to work in. You know, it's like, it's hard to believe that good people get taken so quickly.
in September of 2022, the second annual Miss Sassy pageant was held at the ASU Newport Auditorium. Proceeds benefit the Sydney Claire Sutherland Foundation and Scholarship Fund. Sydney, aka Aunt Sassy, had been in many pageants herself. Maggie said they were fun and relaxing for her late, amazing daughter. This year, the pageant was the beginning of a 2-week celebration of Sydney's life. The annual Finish Sydney's Run followed, accompanied by kids' events, live music, and fireworks. Maggie wants this celebration to honor the way her daughter lived, with grace and generosity. In simple ways, by little measures here and there, Sydney Sutherland will live on in the hearts of all who love her. She'll continue to touch lives as she did when she was here physically. Long live the amazing angel in pink. I'm Mr. Black, and this is the disturbing truth.
Sydney Claire Sutherland of Tuckerman, Arkansas, departed this life on Wednesday, August 19th, 2020, at the age of 24. Her senior quote was, "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." And she shared her many gifts throughout her 24 years. The memory of Sydney's beautiful smile, sparkling eyes, kind heart, and loving spirit will live on in the hearts of her loving family and her many friends. Aside from our heroic law enforcement teams, literally hundreds of volunteers left their work and rallied together to find her. Countless others brought food and supplies for those who were out searching. This was a testimony to the impact that she has had on this community.
When you're alone in your bed, try not to think with your head. Imagine a place where your heart beats instead. You better keep your eyes closed and try to imagine me there. You with them of chalky eyes. Tell me how your garden grows. Tell me 40 things I should know. No, don't be afraid. Set a place for me to say. You better keep your eyes closed ever you feel lonely inside. Lonely inside. Yeah, you better keep your eyes closed ever you feel lonely inside.
Rest in peace, Sydney Sutherland. Thank you for being a part of our world, even if we didn't know you. It is an honor to tell your story. It seems like you touched so many people's lives, and that's what should be celebrated. You know, oftentimes we just focus so much on the person that cowardly takes these individuals' lives and forget about the victims who actually were making a difference in the world. This young woman was obviously doing that based on the information that we had. You know, this is a sad case. I mean, I don't know. I've watched it twice, and I don't know why it touches me so much. I don't know if it's the music. I don't know if it's just the senselessness about it. I mean, tell me what you think. We just finished this. How are you feeling right now about this case? Share your thoughts with me. Rondi said it's so incredibly sad. I wonder if she regained consciousness. I can't see emojis on this StreamYard. Let's talk a minute. Tell me what you think about this. Share your thoughts and feelings about it. Because, you know, sometimes it's okay to discuss things, to get your words out before we say goodbye for the evening. You know what I mean? I always used to do that with my clients because, you know, you present something that you create things that cause ambivalence, and you know it's always a good thing to get your thoughts clear before you move on. So what do y'all think? It's hard to live your life normal after you've lost a loved one to violence like this. You're so right, Jim. You're so right. I mean, any of you that have been here for any amount of time, you understand that I lost a loved one due to violence. And I don't know if unconsciously that's what's led me toward being so ferocious when it comes to advocating for the victims. I'm not as ferocious as I could be, but I don't like to see anybody hurt. I don't like to see anybody hurt. And this is the channel that, let me show you the channel that Truth sent me. The page is called Dead Bug Says. So she said this is a page that she likes to go and watch. And it seems a little macabre for me, but if it's something that you might like, I'll go check it out. I'll go check it out. I mean, there's a level of darkness that, you know, in my mind, after a while, you get to a point where it just gets a little dark. And you're right. You're right, PKC. Rest in peace. Justice is being served. If anybody from the family or any friend of Sydney watch this, if you reach out to the mom or the dad or both of them, if they ever want to come up on my panel, just let me know in the comments. And we'll have you up here so that you can be the voice for your daughter after all these years. I know it's hard to just continue to talk about things, but always offer the family a platform to be able to speak, to maybe assist other people from this tragic event ever happening. I think it's senseless and it's sad, and I don't understand why you can't love each other more instead of hate. That's the only way I can describe just a jealousy and hate, narcissism. I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't understand. Um, you can't live your life happy with what you have, and you always have to look for something a little more extravagant. I mean, he was married. He had kids. What was this all about? I mean, you see something that you can't have, and that is our incarnate sin. Obviously, we always want what we can't have, and if we can't have it, we'll destroy ourselves or other people to obtain it. Oftentimes, and that's terrible. I mean, but it happens. I've been there, and I'm sure you've been there. You've probably taken yourself to great lengths to obtain certain things, and once you got it, you probably thought to yourself, you know what? All that drama and all that stuff that led me here, I don't even want it anymore. I know I have. I've gone to great lengths to obtain certain things in my life that I thought were gonna lead to that happiness that I couldn't find from within. And at the end, once I obtained those things, it was not about the happiness that I figured those things would bring me, but it was about the happiness of the ritual getting to that thing. It's almost like if you've never known love, your quest is to be loved. So therefore, your journey to love somebody outweighs the fact that once you get them, can you let them love you back? And when I was younger, that never happened. It was just a disposable type mentality. It's like use up things as quickly as possible and dispose of them just as quick. I'm glad I've outgrown that because that's a sad existence. But we have a lot of individuals in this world that are very, very consuming like that. They just obtain as quickly as possible, and obtaining it and disposing of it is more enjoyable than enjoying the thing that they've wanted for so long. And I know that probably doesn't make sense, but I hope it does. I hope it does. You know, have to have a little light. That's starting to be hard on the eyes. You said I don't always want what I can't have. Well, I know that there's a lot of people that are okay with where they are at in life, but there's also people that are never satisfied with what they have. They're always wanting something more. They're always wanting to dig just a little deeper, where it becomes not about the reward, but about the journey. And, sometimes we must step back and say, you know what, I've worked hard for this. I need to keep it. I need to maintain it. And that's the mentality of a lot of individuals that this day and age, that they don't really know how to keep things. They know how to obtain them. They just don't want to work to keep them. I don't want anything beyond my means. I can respect that, Jim. I really can. You know, I'm at the point in my life as well where, I'm happy with what I have. I'm very grateful for what I have. And it doesn't have as much value as it did at one point in my life. I've done a lot of great things in my life over probably the last 10, 15 years. And that kind of outweighs all the years that I didn't do great things. You know what I mean? It's like all those years that you don't do great things, you kind of tell yourself, let me turn this light off. You kind of tell yourself, well, will I ever get there? Will I ever be able to enjoy life as I see it? The one thing that happens along the way is you identify that money doesn't solve everything. Not having it Of course, we all need it to pay bills. We need it to survive. We need it to coexist. But what I'm saying is, if you throw yourself into money being the number one goal of your existence, you're going to be let down very hard. I always thought money made you happy. I really did. I was one of those that was raised in a family where, you got to make money, you got to be successful, you got to do this, got to do that. And, along the way, you lose yourself when you're on that battle because your whole focus is, I got to get, I got to get, I got to get. And you lose time, you lose relationships with people, you lose the ability to interact, you know? And I can tell you right now, on this journey that I'm on, I'm happy with where I'm at because it's not stressful. I get to call the shots. I don't have to feel like I'm obligated to do anything that I don't want to do. And when you're a prisoner of money, when you're a prisoner of time, when you're a prisoner of all these things, it's draining on your soul. I guess if you take anything from that long-winded rant, I want you to think about, how easily it is to get yourself into situations that are not always good for you. And try to enjoy the things that do bring you happiness and joy. Because it is about the little things. Sometimes the big things, they just fizzle out fast. You can get a new car today, and in a week, it'll be dirty just like your old one was. It may still smell nice, but, might run nice. But eventually that car fades too. And before you blink, that car is just like your old one was. Broken in, comfortable, and you forget that it was once new. I don't know if that makes any sense. My brain is going fast now because I'm about to go work out, but if it makes sense, hit the like button, hit the dislike button, whichever one you choose to hit tonight. I know there's not a lot of people in this chat tonight. Like I tell you, Idaho 4 sells, and I'm not going to do Idaho 4 every night in order to get people in here. Hopefully they get interested in the channel to be able to come over here when we're not talking Idaho and they interact with you guys because you're the purpose of the channel, not me. You're the one to keep it running. You showing up, you giving us great content in the chat, great comments. You're the reason I'm here. And I don't want you to think that I copied that from anybody else, even though you may hear it in other places. I've always been saying it. There's a lot of things that are said that are duplicated on what I say in this channel. And I want you just to go back if you ever doubt that I'm copying something or that I'm replicating somebody else's sayings. Go back in my videos in the library and check them out because you'll see that I've been saying this stuff a long time. I might give this weekend a break from true crime and just go enjoy life. As much as I enjoy being on this panel and as much as I enjoy going live with you guys, I might give it a break this weekend for no other reason than just to enjoy the sunshine if there is sunshine, or just to, yeah, of course, just to kind of recharge. So you might do the same. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling like alone, pack yourself a lunch, go for a walk. Be vigilant on your walk. We can't be scared to leave our homes. We can't be scared We can't be scared just to be kind of locked down. I don't know, Glitter. I might do that. I might do that. Depend on how I feel. But if you need to talk, maybe I could do an open panel and you could come up on panel and talk because you said you'd like to come up on panel and talk one day, so I might do that. I got some unexpected money today. Not really anything I was happy about. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but you get to a point where, money is just money. It's either going to sit in the bank, you're going to spend it, or an emergency is going to happen and you're going to spend it. I had a little bit of extra money and I have to dish it out to go get a new alternator for my truck because the bad boy needs it. So you do what you got to do so you don't get stranded. At least that's my mentality. I fix it as it comes or it needs so that one day when I'm out on the road traveling or something, I don't get stranded because I cut corners or got something that, or I didn't do what I needed to do. Yeah, I understand that, Rondi. I understand that wholeheartedly. I've been there. I've been there. I think we all have. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about worshiping money. I'm talking about those individuals that every conversation has to do with money. We're in creators chats and lives sometimes, and that's all they talk about. It's their financial struggles. They talk about their finances. They talk about situations like that, like they're expecting other people to fund the bill. You know what I mean? Like understand emergencies and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about anybody in here. I'm talking about other creators where they're talking about, well, I don't have this for my kids, or I don't have that for this or that. You know, there's a difference. There's people out here busting their hump trying to make it work, and they're still falling short. I understand that. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that sit in front of the screen for hours and hours and hours, just expecting people to fund them because they're on the screen. That's who I'm talking about. But before I get on that tangent, I just want to just kind of bring it back a little bit. You know, no, they're not. This one cost me $200. And plus my buddy's the mechanic, so therefore I'm gonna have to pay him something. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna take some time, which I don't mind. You know, yeah, things happen. You got to take care of it. That's part of being an adult. Can't run from it. Can't be a victim about it. You just got to take it on as it comes. One thing you'll hopefully never hear me say is that I need your help. You know, did I need your help because my electricity is about to get turned off, or that I can't pay my house payment, or that I want you to give me money because I deserve a bigger house, or anything like that. Or, if I had children, that my children need Christmas gifts, or anything like that. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody. So if you've ever heard anybody say any of this stuff, I'm just using them as examples. Some people have no problem asking for money. I myself, if I don't have it, I go without until I get it. That's how I was raised. I've even donated plasma to pay my bills. I've donated plasma to eat a little quick meal and then to go get drunk at the strip club. I mean, it's few and far between. I've done all kinds of dumb shit, but at the end, they were my choices. You know what I'm saying? They were my choices. So yeah, I understand that, guys. I do get that. And I'm not trying to make this last part of the video about money. I'm just, you know, yeah, I get that. I get that. I get that. That's why I'm going to not really talk about it much more. But I will let you guys have an open panel probably later on tonight. I probably won't go long on that panel because, like I said, I got to get up early and take my truck to the mechanic. So can't be all sleepy in the morning. And I got to get glasses. And that's going to be another probably $200, $300. So, it goes quick. So if y'all could send me $1,000 tonight on my Cash App, I'll put it across the screen. Have y'all ever seen people do that? They're just like, they give you their problem and then they're like, well, I'll push my Cash App on the banner in case anybody wants to give me any little bit helps. No. If you know my Cash App, it's because it's my birthday. And still, I don't expect or want anything. You know what I'm saying? I need more money than I have. I'll go get a job. Yeah, I understand that, Jim. How I've been working for so long, I can't even see myself not working. Even if I was making money at this YouTube thing, I would still have to work. This is boring shit to me. You know what I mean? This is boring to me. I cannot sit here for hours and hours and hours just talking. I can't do it. It's like, okay, I got to go. Like right now, I'm like biting at the bits, to go to the gym. And I'm going to go here in a minute. But how about a GoFundMe? Okay. What could I say? Hey, can you GoFund me? Because I want some new Nikes. Can y'all do that? Can y'all do that? Nah. Not this guy. If you don't see me for 6 months, you probably can guess that either my internet got cut off or the electricity got cut off or I got sick and was unable to say anything to you guys. The last thing I'm ever going to do is ask you for anything because you're my reason to be here, not the other way around. And I hope you really believe that and understand that. Because I enjoy this for you guys. I don't enjoy this for myself. I've always been self-conscious about being in front of this camera, but I've overcame that. Kind of like overcoming being a therapist, teaching a class in front of like 100 people. You can't be self-conscious whenever you're delivering a message. Either it hits or it don't. You know what I mean? But anyways, I could ramble all night, and I will try to be back. I really will. If you want to be on panel or if you want to just come in here and talk openly about anything that's going on in your life and you might need some support, come on back. We'll talk about it. Because like I always say, strength in numbers, division helps us fall and makes us weak. We need to be strong together. And honestly, sometimes we just need to take a break from the true crime stuff. There's enough real world problems. And sometimes we just need to talk. So if y'all want to come back, please join me in a couple of hours. And hopefully I'll be having the energy to keep going. If not, enjoy your evening. And I'll see you when you come back around. And if you watch this on replay, hit the like button, please, or hit the dislike button, or leave me a comment, or even subscribe to the channel. Or not. It's up to you. It's always a choice. Guys, you take care. And like I said, I'll see y'all soon. And I hope that you continue to take care of yourself. Be vigilant. And don't do anything that takes away your freedom or your life. I'll catch you on the other side.